It's going. There. So we're here, Linda.
Hi. Hopefully we have some people attending.
Yeah.
Right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Focus in February with Jade and Linda. This is where we're going to have an open discussion about topics that should be of interest to you in your business. And we're hoping this week to start with the topic of planning for your business. A lot of you, I'm sure, sat down on January the 1st with your list of resolutions, wrote down a bunch of things. Perhaps maybe you created a vision board for the creative ones out there, but it's February now. And I'm guessing back to school activities, back to work, getting into the flow of things again, you have forgotten what you wrote down there at the beginning of January. So, Jade and I are here today to open up your minds to the value of focusing again in February. I'm Linda Dent. I'm a business coach, and my company is Just Ask Linda Business Coaching. We're here from Johannesburg, South Africa. And again, a very warm welcome to all our listeners. Jade, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. So I'm Jade. I'm an expert consciousness coach, professional certified coach with the ICF, transformational trainer, and basically just really passionate about supporting people in their own personal development space. So what Linda and I thought about when we spoke about doing this topic is really having a look at why a business owner would want to set goals for them, for their business and for themselves. So really bringing and blending in the personal and the business together, because both function together. And if they're not functioning together, then of course they can have a really hard time moving forward. So as Linda mentioned, we'll be with you for the rest of February, and just really giving tips and tricks and sharing the importance and the consequences of what happens when we don't goal set and when we don't do reviews of our goals. So it's really, really important. So we thought a good time to focus is February.
Focus in February. That's right, Jade. So, just a reminder, if you have any questions, you're welcome to pop them into the chat box and we'll pick them up as we go along. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. It's like we're all sitting in a lounge right now, just enjoying each other's company, except only Jade and I can see each other and you can see us. So you're somewhere on the opposite side of the curtain, but hopefully you're there, and we'll catch up later on who has some questions and comments. Should we start with a story, Jade?
Yeah, absolutely, Linda. You want to share your
Yeah,
story?
I would love to. And this involves my coach, Jade Feder. At the beginning of every year, one of the things that has become a real habit for me is to make sure that Jade is available for the very first week in January so that I can sit down with her for an hour and work through creating intentions for the year ahead. And that creation of intentions is a critical part of setting your goals. To listen to others saying, but you must grow your business and you must get more clients and you must have better relationships with your family this year. Those are just words and they don't work in terms of New Year's resolutions that you need to, write them down instead. So in a moment, I'm going to ask Jade just to fill in some of the gaps because I'm going to speak in a very layman's kind of terms about what it is that we do together. So this creating your intentions for the year ahead starts a bit earlier in the year before. And the year before, we sit down and make sure that we've completed the previous year. Now, this is assuming, of course, that you guys work on a chronological system like myself from January to December. You might work from March to February, which is why we think another good reason for setting your goals in February if you're thinking in terms of tax years, right? But in my case, I like to think of January to December as a whole year. And finishing off the year in December is also a critical component, because just before you go on holiday, really, you should do this just before you go away or take a break, is just to sit down and reflect on the year that's gone past. What went well? What could have gone better? And also, what have you left undone, or what feels like it didn't feel right at the time? And so we go through this conversation, and Jade takes me through a set of structured questions and systems, so that by the end of it, I've completed the 1 year. And now in the new year, we free, it's almost like a blank page to start writing your intentions for the year. So it's a beautiful process. I thoroughly enjoy it. Perhaps, Jade, you can just fill in some of those little gaps about what it is that you do to help a business owner set their intentions for the year.
Sure, Linda, thanks. So first, I just want to say hello to Leona and Ashley. You've popped comments down, so happy to have you with us, or that you've popped in. So what Linda's speaking about is really incredibly important. We complete a year. So anything actually that we do requires completion. Hello to Taryn as well. So anything that we do requires completion, whether it's in the middle of the year, whether it's at the end of the year, whether it's 2 months into the year. If you set a goal and it's complete, it's always good to reflect back and see what worked and what didn't work. So in terms of working with a business owner or entrepreneur or executive, I would sit down and say, okay, right, let's complete your year at the end of a year. And then from there, we would, once everything is complete, we would have a fresh, clean slate to start off from, because you don't want to be dragging the old stuff into the new stuff. So it's really, when we choose to complete something consciously, we complete it in totality, and then we don't have that hanging around with us in the new cycle. So I always speak of, there are 3 steps in a cycle, and how we finish is so incredibly important, because how we finish is how we start the next thing. So that is very important, and then it creates the platform from which you can then create the new year, as Linda's mentioning now, specifically January. So goal setting for the new year. So you don't have that baggage hanging around anymore. So how do you find that, Linda, when you actually choose to complete something consciously?
Thanks for that. And welcome to Estelle, who's just joined us as well. It's lovely to have you ladies with us. All ladies so far, it seems, but unless Ashley's a guy. No, hi, Ashley. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you, Jade. So how did I feel about the exercise? As I say, it gives me a lot of clarity. To be able to set some things aside. There's an exercise that Jade does with you called letting go. It's acknowledging something that is not working in your life, perhaps, accepting it, and then letting it go, right? So that's what Jade does. It's like, let it go. And that process of letting go really clears your mind and gets you ready for the new year. So how I feel, I always feel absolutely wonderful when I've left Jade's house, because, and sometimes she's in person meetings, right? And of course you can do it on Zoom. So if you hear from the UK or the USA or Europe, you don't have to come to a house in South Africa unless you really would like to.
Well, but, I don't mind.
It's fine if they do. But I always leave with absolute clarity. Now, just to segue a little bit into the business coaching side, the planning that I would look at doing beyond that is it gets more specific, right? It does start getting to the point of growing your business, more clients, maybe creating new programs or services or products. Maybe it's about trying a new marketing tactic, analyzing that. It could be that you're in year 2 or 3 or 4 of business and you need to really get to the point where you're strategizing about growth, maybe employing some people, etc. So there's a lot of elements of business success that you need to consider. And my kind of coaching would be around those elements. So again, taking myself as example number one, once I've done the sort of clarity and clearing the page, I've got certain things that I want to work on. And I'm sure some of you have heard of like the wheel of life, which is a wheel, and it has several segments to it. At least I think 6 or 8 segments that cover the various sectors of your life. So you have personal goals around your health, your fitness, your relationship goals with your significant other or your children or your parents or your friends for that matter, the relationship goals. You may have some adventure goals, some travel goals. You want to visit somewhere or do something different and unique. And then, of course, there are the business goals or the career goals, which are a little more defined, right? Some of those others are less defined. Like I might want to learn how to cook like Jamie Oliver. And by when do I want to do that? Well, I might say by the end of the year, which is a very sort of long period of time. But what is it that I can do this month in February to move towards that goal? And the same goes for every segment of your life, that you can actually sit down with a coach and help you to determine what are the small steps you can take. So sometimes it's too big of a goal, right? I want to travel overseas, or I want to grow my business to be R1 million turnover. But what is it you can do in February that will start you to step by step get to that goal? And the same with everything else. And it's like, what is that one thing for each of those areas of my life that I could do differently this month? What do you say to that, Jade? What are your thoughts on that?
No, well, I definitely think that it's important. I just want to say hello to Astrid, Craig, and Kevin. Kevin, I think it might be early morning for you, but thank you for joining us. So absolutely, I think it's a great time to really have a look and to solidify. Linda, I was actually going to ask you, while we're on the topic of business, what do you see as being important for business owners now in February to actually review their goals? What could be the benefits there for them?
Thanks. I would say there's a significant benefit to reviewing your goals every month. Not just January, not just February, although we're saying focus in February, guys, because the next thing you'll be in August and you'll have made no progress whatsoever, and you'll feel like something's just not going right in your life. So I say every month. So if you have set goals for January, it is now the 9th of Feb. You could, there's no thing that says you must do it on the 1st of the month or the 1st of every month or the 2nd of every month. Pick a day, a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon or even a Saturday, where you do every month sit down and review the month before. And this is what I'd like you to do, or this is what I would suggest you do. Let's assume you have some goals written down and you've decided these are the things that you're going to work on in March, right? And maybe you start working on them. At the end of March, I want you to go back to that list and basically say, did you do it? Yes or no? Smiley face, sad face, very miserable face. You can do it visually. You can have what I've got. I kind of do it in many ways. So what I've got is a spreadsheet with all my goals in the different areas written down. And then I've got like a little smiley face every day that I actually do something that is moving me in the right direction. It might be just as simple as eat well, sleep well, exercise. And then I'm tracking that. So every day I'm going, did I exercise today? No, I didn't. So maybe I'll do that tomorrow, right? Did I eat well? Yes, I did. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. I do it almost daily, but you could do it weekly, or you could just reflect at the end of a month and just reflect back and look at each of the categories and say, have I made progress? And that's the bottom line, guys, is have you made progress? So you can have it written down next to you in a diary. You can translate it into to-do list, or you can have it on a sheet, or you can have it on, like I've said, the creative types would love it on some kind of vision board right in front of their laptop on the wall. Which would remind them. They can use sticky notes, right? You can use sticky notes. So I'm not going to say this is how you do it. What Jade and I are saying today is that there is value in planning. And Jade, how do you, what's your story? How do you plan for the year? And what value do you find in doing so?
Okay, so well, definitely I couldn't do with my clients what I don't do with myself, right? So every year I do completing session and I do a creating session. And if we, there's that saying or that joke where they say January is like how many Mondays long, like a million Mondays long or whatever. And it's interesting that we do goal setting in January, because I think there is so much that happens in January. We're trying to settle, everything's going on. So it is so easy for, us to go off track. I even found for myself that what I had written down, I hadn't consciously checked in on this past January because things just got away with me. So really creating a process for yourself with your goals that you can stick to, that's important for you. So it's not about this is the only way that works. And I think that's the most important thing for me, is that you know that your way is going to work for you, and my way is not necessarily going to work for you. So I can sure tell you the principles behind it, but you have to figure out what works. So, Linda, for you, if it's doing it daily, for somebody, it might be a check-in with themselves on a weekly basis. It might be a check-in with somebody else on a weekly basis, having some type of accountability partner. If you are quite accountable yourself and you don't need the other person, then that's fine. Then do it with you. So it's really for me. And the interesting thing I also found starting at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and I put it in my post yesterday, was that I heard a lot of people saying, oh no, I'm not setting goals, I'm just going to go with the flow. And I wanted to talk about that as well, because I think it's so important, goal setting. So as coaches, we like goal setting pushes. And there's a reason for that. It's not to make people sick and tired of goal setting, but to really support you in pulling yourself forward into the future. That's what that goal does. It's something that you connect to into the future that pulls you forward. And the more that you can consciously choose to be connected to the goal, the more you gain momentum and you get pulled forward. Now, with that as well, it's not just say don't go with the flow. So this for me is where the blend comes in. You see, if you're just going with the flow and you don't have anything pulling you forward, however you chose to set it, then you're just going with the flow, right? So you're not dictating anything. You're kind of just going, life, take me along and I'm going to ride the wave. And then you're not going to, you're not going to enjoy it, or you're going to enjoy it. I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. So for me, it's really about setting the goal and then flowing within that framework that you've set. So the goal becomes the guiding lines. So you know the direction that you're going in. And the flow comes in going, okay, this worked, this didn't work, this works, this didn't work. And then, so it's really not dictating how something is going to happen. It's dictating what you want to happen, then being in action of the what and allowing the how to unfold. So that for me is what is so important, and how we bring the blend of goal setting and going with the flow together, because then it creates for me a balance. And I think that's important for people to know. Whether you're setting, well, business goals, I think, are a bit more people target orientated, isn't it, Linda?
Yes, thank you for that. Isn't she amazing, guys? This this consciousness coach here, she just blows my mind, because I was one of those that also started the year with, it just feels like one of those years to go with the flow. We've had some hardships, we've had some difficult times, a lot of things haven't gone our way. And I also sat back and went, I'm such a planner, such a dictator for myself, I'm just so strict with this daily stuff. And then this year has come along and I've still got it, but I'm not quite as intense as I was in previous years. And finding the flow, as Jade says, within the intention and the action plans is working like a charm. If you want to know more, you guys must get in touch with us, connect with us on LinkedIn, we open to having a chat anytime that fits in with our calendar diaries, but we open to that, and you can get in touch with us, and we can continue this conversation in any direction that suits you. But I see we got this long question from Taryn. Thank you, Taryn. What does it say? Ladies, one of my goals starting this month is to celebrate my achievements and manage my time. Time management is a goal between my business and studies. Do you have any tips on managing my time and to get into a new habit of managing my time? Do you want to answer, Jade, or shall I go for it?
You go first, Linda.
All right. So I do happen to know that Taryn is celebrating her 1-year business anniversary today. So
fantastic. Congratulations, Taryn.
Thank you for spending the time with us, Taryn. It's wonderful to have you here. And yeah, if you are, obviously life is full of, it's not just business, right? And it's not just family. And there's so much going on in a person's life that I can understand that it can be overwhelming to some to sit down and plan. So she says, do you have any tips on managing my time and to get into a new habit of managing my time? So this is my tip. First of all, know what's important to you. Understand what is really important to you, not what other people on social media are telling you is important, because they will tell you love and family and all of and relationships are very important, and they may well be to you, but they might not be. It sounds weird, I know, guys, just bear with me, but they might not be quite as important to somebody else because they are different. They have been brought up differently. They have different strengths. Some people are studying while they're building a business. Some people are bringing up young children while they're building a business. Some people are and maybe don't want to work the number of hours that the internet tells you should. The 5 a.m. club and the read 50 books a month or something. I mean, go for it. If you think you have the energy and the time, go for it. But personally, I like to ensure that my day is shorter than the average. Start at 9, finish at 4:30 or 5 o'clock at the latest. Don't work on the weekends, do not work in the evenings, with exceptions, of course, but on a general sort of time, to understand what your what you accept for you, not what your clients are sort of driving you to accept, and not what other people are telling you to accept, but what works for you in terms of time. Do you like getting up earlier? Do you prefer working later? Set those boundaries. And the word boundary is vital here. You need boundaries to be able to live a full life. And if you allow your clients or colleagues or your relationships to take you away from what you consider to be the things that you need to do for the year, then you are not being true to yourself. And it's hard. I know it's tough. But this is a sort of conversation I've had with clients. I even have with myself, the husband, the kids. You've got to set the boundaries, right? Once you have your boundaries, it limits the time that you can spend on certain work activities, for example. So what of that list of work activities is vital? What's the most important? Do those things first and then get to the other things in the day later. Another tip is please try and limit distractions. The social media today, I'm not telling you don't be on social media, but I'm saying find a time of day that you can dedicate to social media instead of having your phone or your computer sending you notifications every 30 seconds, because that distracts your mind away from whatever you were trying to do, and whatever you were trying to do is going to take you that much longer. So I don't do it always. Nobody's perfect, guys. I'm not, no one's perfect. Hey, Jade. But especially on a day that you need to get something done. Maybe you're developing a website or getting your content ready, or maybe you're studying for an exam, is to ensure that you say to yourself, I will look at my phone at 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, and the end of the day. I promise you, you miss nothing. Nothing. You miss nothing. It's just that you respond a little later than everyone expects you to, and nobody shouts at you. So try it. Try it and see what happens if you create those new habits. Just get some boundaries and limit your social media, find times that it's more appropriate, and then focus on the most important priority actions that will help you to reach those goals, right? So if you need help figuring out what those priority actions are, give me a call. What's your thought?
Just to add that onto that, Linda, so definitely have a look and see what distracts, what is getting into the way, because that generally causes procrastination, and then we lose motivation, and there's a whole web that it then weaves. So find the distractions that are common in your day and how can you get rid of them. I know on my phone I can now set it to a certain almost mode, reading mode, for example, and I can block out what apps mustn't come up while I'm doing that. So find what works for you. Also set time blocks. So almost like a focus, if it's a focus hour, focus half an hour, set time blocks. In this hour, I'm doing this. In this half an hour, I'm doing this. And then stick to it. If you're a person that works like that, that's also very important. Sort of more the creative, free-flowing might not work so well, but this is where you've got to find what's the tweaking that you need to do. Linda also mentioned something very important. Do the important stuff first. And I'm not sure if everyone knows, but it's the very important stuff like taking care of you. So if you feel good waking up in the morning, going to gym, having a cup of coffee outside, before you start your day, make sure that you do that. If it's reading at the beginning of the day, whatever it is, start with that, because what happens is you actually energize yourself and you will get through the day a lot quicker on the things that like you don't really want to do. So it just gives you more momentum, more energy to get through those things that you don't like doing. So those would be sort of my tips, Taryn, as well, is have a look at the distractions, as Linda mentioned too, and just see what you can start putting in place to start tweaking that for yourself, that you've got a little bit of extra time. Time prioritize. How much time does your business need? How much personal time do you need? How much study time do you need? And then make a plan, a daily plan, and see if that works for you.
100%. Hey.
Yeah.
When you say, when people say this very often, I don't have time for something, it's not true, because we all have the same amount of time. The clock ticks at the same rate generally, I think, unless we've got some scientists here who'll tell me it doesn't everywhere tick at the same rate, but more or less. So time is relative to you, and when someone says to you, or you say to them, I don't have time for something, it actually means you don't want to do it, or you it's not a priority for you. And so listen carefully to yourself the next time you say, I don't have time for something, whether that's a colleague or a client or a friend or yourself. When you say, I don't feel like, I don't have time to exercise, it's because you don't want to. It's not a priority for you.
It's not high enough on the list.
It's not high enough on the list for
You
you.
haven't
So
gotten
go with the flow and say, that's okay. I can acknowledge it, accept it, and let it go. It's okay. You don't have to exercise because everyone else is doing the 21-day challenge on Facebook. That's a tip for you guys. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Do it because you want to do it, and then you will find your time. I'd like to just, I don't know if you saw it, loving all the comments
Yes.
from you guys. It's absolutely wonderful. And we're really happy to have you all here. Janine mentions,
Bubbles.
she says, be aware of the shiny bubbles. Some are distractions and some are not. So just to spell it out, shiny bubbles is a term that I picked up sometime last year. And I refer to it quite often, not directly to my customer, but sometimes, when I'm telling a story, not with the names, but when I'm telling a story about a particular client, and I say they tend to chase shiny bubbles. And what do I mean by that? Well, shiny bubbles, they're wonderful. When you were a kid and you got that little jar and you wiggled it out and you blew some bubbles and everybody chased them and tried to pop them. Well, that's the problem. They're shiny. They're very interesting. You want to follow it. You want to play with this. You want to experiment, and then they pop. What am I referring to in real life? All those, sometimes mostly marketing sales pitches that tell you invest in cryptocurrency, or start a YouTube channel, or and yes, we're here doing a LinkedIn Live channel because we are hopefully not chasing a shiny bubble. But if it turns out that it is a shiny bubble, Jade and I will step back from LinkedIn Live and do something else. But we're hoping that this has some value for you and it's not a shiny bubble. But be careful, guys, because those shiny bubbles come along quite often. They've come along to me, and I've gone chasing them as well, even knowing that they are there. And somebody else needed to remind me that it was a shiny bubble before it popped. So this is also talking about business opportunities, right? The shiny big bubble, the R1 million deal, the new corporate collaboration training opportunity. So just make sure you spend time on those things and ensure that they're solid balls and not shiny balls. So thanks for that comment, Janine.
I think, Linda, sorry, if I may quickly, that while you're on that, it's so important to have a look, because when we set a goal for ourselves and we're on a trajectory, and it gets difficult sometimes, it gets really hard. And something to note is that you will experience resistance to the degree that you are stepping outside of your comfort zone when you're setting goals. So you're going along and it gets hard, and then all of a sudden that little shiny bubble deal comes along. And you're going, okay, well, maybe I just need to step off the path that I had set for myself and do this quickly and then come back. but it's not, it doesn't end up being that quickly because it's a distraction and it's taken you completely off track into where you actually wanted to be. So, and it can then take you a whole long time to come back. And I think it's very important to not experiencing resistance to a goal that you have set. It is there for a reason. You have to break through that comfort zone, and you have to push to get into the next level of you, the next unfolding and you growing. And that's why it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for a reason. And to have a look at your goals, that they're inspiring, moving, and touching, that they actually move you into action. If they're not, why are you doing them? Are you doing it because you think you should? Is it an obligation? Somebody suggested maybe you should? Because then it's not really come from you and your true self and potentially what you actually want, which is why it's not working. So really having a look when you set goals, have you set it from you and what you want, or is it set from what you think you should be doing? It's also very important because then distractions come in and you're going to get very easily taken off track. So I see Janine has also said,
she's loving us.
yeah, no, this is not a shiny bubble. What you are
Thanks,
doing, ladies,
Janine.
is super wonderful, and I'm very grateful to be able to have this time to listen to you today. Thank you for joining us, Janine, and commenting. Craig is also, he said that is his downfall, and I'm sure we know, Craig, the shiny bubbles. So yes, and while we're here, we'll be here for a little bit longer. If there's any other questions that have come up for you, then just pop them in the chat box and we'll address them in the last few minutes while we're here. I think it's really important to have a look at where you're coming from when you're setting your goals. What is the process that you're putting in place to review them? If something is working, are you checking what's working, what's not working? What needs to change? What do you need to put in place? What resource do you need? You know, when you start asking yourself questions, yes, you'll have. So what they say is the first sort of 3 answers that you have come to mind are those from your memory, that you have experienced before, what you remember, what you've been told. But when you keep asking the same question over and over again, you start to tap into the unconscious and you start to bring other things out that you possibly didn't think of before. And that's where you want to be. You want to be in the place where you didn't think of that before. What you don't know, you don't know. And that's the place where you will grow. So very important to keep asking yourself these questions. What's working? What's not working? What do I need to put in place? What would move me forward? The more questions you ask yourself, and you can, even if you're somebody who likes to journal, this is a great way to sort of process the information that comes up as it comes up, because it comes up quickly. So to do that and then take it, and how do you start to implement it so that you can start to make change? When you make a commitment or you set a goal, it doesn't mean you're stuck. I think that's also very important. I think there's a lot of people that think that they're stuck once they've put this thing down on a piece of paper. So what adjustments need to be made? Maybe you get to the middle of the year and you realize, actually, that was the wrong goal. What I really want is this. Then change it and, you know, get on a different path. And if you've discovered it was the wrong goal, acknowledge it was the wrong goal. And what's the new one? And keep going, because ultimately it will take you to where you want to be.
Agreed. I think that's the reality. The reality of goal setting. It's just a thought that comes to my mind now. You, all of you, and all of us, at some point or another, we've been to training. We've maybe Googled a business plan or strategic goal setting. And we've got templates, and there's some notification about what you should do. I think what Jade and I are really saying today is that it's way more flexible than that. I know a lot of you have heard of SMART goals, probably from the corporate world. I know I did. To set your goals each year as being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And yes, that's important to do, to say something specific like, I will I will lose 10 kilograms by the end of June for the reason that I'm going to on holiday or for a wedding, right? So you might be committed to it. You've written it down, or you've put a picture on the wall, and now you've got something to work. So it is specific, that one. It's not just lose weight, because lose weight, when you say I want to lose weight, then you won't
You
lose
could
it.
lose half a kilo.
Yeah. And then you would have lost weight. Yeah. But no. You need to be way more specific about it. But you can do that. But I'm here to say that we don't have to be that tough on ourselves. We can be a little more flexible than that. And to Jade's point, and this is the beauty of, if most of you on this call own your own business, you are the boss. You do not have somebody saying that your performance bonus is dependent on you meeting these goals. So you can be not the kind of boss you used to have. You can be more lenient on yourself, right? You can actually sit back and say, it's okay, I didn't manage to achieve that goal, but as long as I achieve something, as long as I'm moving and making progress, and that's my view. I am one of those people, as a coach, a business coach, a very analytical sort of person, and a planner to the nth degree. That is who I am. But I've come to realize over the course of business ownership that it doesn't have to be that specific. It can just be a little more general. The difference is that you commit to it. The difference is that you promise yourself that you will do these things. So what more comments have we got? We've got lots of people talking to us. So this is wonderful. I think if you've got any specific questions, please let us know. Adassa, thank you very much for your comment. I just noticed that that you say we thank you, because we thank you both. You do it because it's what you love doing. 100%. We are here today because we love this. And Jade and I have known each other for more than 3 years, and we said, goodness me, we both have a passion for what we do. We both get value from each other. Why should we not try and share a little bit of this with a broader audience? And so it's really lovely to get comments like that, Adassa. I really appreciate you and appreciate everyone here today.
Yeah.
What else have we got to talk about?
Lots, Linda. We could go on for a long time.
We could go on, but we value your time, right?
Step into our topics for next week. So just to let everyone know, we will be doing this again next week. Different topic, but still in line with the importance of goals and Focus February and consciously creating. So there is more to come, and Linda mentioned SMART goals. And I want to save mine for when we do the topic. So there is a way that I also have a look at setting goals. A very big thing to remember in creating change for yourself, it's you have to be uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable enough, you're not going to create the change. There needs to be a burning desire. There needs to be discomfort. You need to have a plan in place. And these are all sort of key factors that pull you forward, like I mentioned, and all come part of goal setting. But we don't want to overwhelm you right now. This was really just the start and the lift off. So I do want to say thank you for being with us, for those that tuned in. And we hope to see you again next week. Come with questions, see what has happened for you in the last week, and we'd love to have you join us again.
Yep,
Linda, I don't know if you've got any parting words.
No, I echo that, but I would like to ask you guys to, as I did earlier, just let's make sure we connected on LinkedIn, because of course some of Jade's connections and network are here, and some of mine are here, and maybe you don't know the other person, so we'd love to spread that around a little bit so you get to know both of us. And please, if you have any comments, you can we've got LinkedIn and Facebook posts, so feel free to comment on what value you got out of this session today. I know we've gone in a very discussion format, so there's some tips that sort of came along. You may have forgotten them. The recording will be available, I'm sure, isn't it? Because it's going live out to YouTube and
Yes.
LinkedIn and Facebook. So you can go to any of those platforms and listen and watch again if you didn't quite catch everything. So that's a wonderful thing about the StreamYard platform we're using. And please like and comment and share with others if you think they could get some value out of this as well. But we'd really, if there's one thing I can ask you, is just a one-liner to say what value you got out of this LinkedIn Live discussion today. Thank you very much for your time and energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who are not connected to us and watching, you're more than welcome to connect. Linda and I both love connections and meeting new people, so please feel free. And that's us for today.
Perfect. Cheerio, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.